I don't believe in accumulations. In this post-AI world, a 10x person is not winning by accumulating knowledge. A 10x persons are the one that can learn the quickest, that can adapt the quickest. Those are the people who's going to win.
Welcome to Prompted, a podcast about AI, people, and the creative spark. I'm Cameron Adams, co-founder and chief product officer of Canva. And I just got back from our AI Vision event in New York City, where we brought together the finest minds in AI with an audience of builders and leaders eager to hear about the future of AI and creativity. As part of that, I got into the podcast studio with one of our speakers, Dr. Rong Yan. Rong is the CTO of HeyGen, an AI video platform that's rethinking how we create and communicate, using generated avatars and voices to make video production dramatically more accessible. Rong has a combination of deep technical expertise and real-world product experience. Before HeyGen, he led engineering teams at companies like Facebook, Snapchat, and HubSpot, and he spent years working at the intersection of AI research and language technologies. In this conversation, we explore what it means when anyone can generate a human presence on screen, and how that changes storytelling, communication, and even trust. So let's get into it. Rong, welcome to the show.
Cameron, thank you for having me.
Now, we have a very unique way of getting to know people on this show, and that's something that we call the prompt. With the prompt, we get you to sketch something that really influenced your childhood. Are you up for a bit of sketching live?
I'm ready.
Okay, you got your trusty Sharpie, you got a blank piece of paper.
Yeah.
The world is your canvas.
Back in 9 years old, in my childhood, my dad bought me the first computer.
What was it?
That was an 8080A.
Nice.
PCXT.
State of the art.
That was actually state of the art at that time. So it was still using floppy disk to boot up an MS-DOS.
5 1/4 or 3 1/2 inch?
It's both 5 and 3.
So
I have a A drive and a B drive. And then I'm truly amazed by computer at that time. And I was back in China, and not everyone have a computer. You can say only 1% of the family have computer at that time. So, but when I first see it, I'm truly amazed by the futures that can really created by a computer like that. So that's why I started to learn coding. I think BASIC is the first language I learned.
Yeah.
And I used BASIC to build the first game.
What was the first game?
That was the one I'm enjoying right now.
Can't wait to see it. I remember coding. I hacked, I got some code for Snake in BASIC back when MS-DOS was still the main operating system. And I remember hacking that to create a new mini game out of it.
You're doing better than me. I can probably show you what the game I created at that time.
Yeah, give me a look.
Okay, so this is a game. It's almost like a Flappy Bird version of an airplane. So you have a plane that was flying over in some kind of trajectory, and then I have a little rocket in the middle. So I can press the buttons, and then we can hit the plane and see whether you can hit it or not. So that was literally the first game I create. I do that over at night. So almost at 2 o'clock, if I remember correctly.
How old were you at this stage?
It was like 11 years old.
Okay, amazing.
That was, but I remember that game. This is actually the first fun things I create, like for my computer. Since then, I really think about, okay, maybe I should do something along computer science in the future. And that was the seed planting in my mind.
It's amazing to see those small seeds, those moments of chance when dad brings home a computer and you get to try it out, and that sparks off your entire career. What we're going to do with that sketch is we're going to send that over to our designer in residence, Prasad, and he is going to use your sketch, a bit of AI and his own ingenuity to come up with a completely new form of art. We'll see that piece of art at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, let's go deep on some questions about AI and creativity with you.
Sounds good.
So Rong, you have been in the AI space since 2006 when you were studying at CMU. And since then, you've worked at companies like Meta and Snapchat, and you've applied different types of machine learning and AI throughout the last 20 years. I'm really interested in how you've seen the scene develop, and what were some of the threads that drew you through your career to where you are now?
If you look at the last 20 years, I think AI have gone through a step change, in my opinions.
Yeah.
When I first studying in Carnegie Mellon, we don't even call it AI. We call it machine learning.
Of course.
So we were focused on using statistics to optimize objective functions. That's what we were focused on. And then all the way up to 2012, I remember the first neural network comes out. It's called AlexNet. That suddenly changed everyone's mind. So, and people would say, you just don't need to use support vector machines to do optimization anymore. Instead, a deep neural network can do the jobs. And fast forward to 2017, what really amazed me is AlphaGo. That was the first time an AI can beat humans in the most complicated games in the human history.
Yeah, it was a pivotal moment.
But last 2 years, when ChatGPT coming out, it changed the story completely. I started to see the moment, that's it. So that's the time that you finally can really using AI, not just to amplify a revenue target or amplify an existing application. This is actually the time you finally can use AI to make a business out of it.
As you were talking through your career, it really struck me how incredible the foundations you have in AI are, and the 20 years plus learning that you've put into it in understanding statistical models and neural networks and transformer architectures. And there's an incredible amount of knowledge there that enable you to build AI systems. But you look at software development now, and it's all about agents and totally different tool sets. And it's enabling people who I think definitely don't have that deep foundation that you have to produce amazing things. How do you reflect on that build-up of knowledge that you have and what other software developers and builders might need nowadays? Do they need 20 years of experience, or can they dive straight into a Vibe coding tool and produce something that you can produce?
This world is changing very fast right now. So I feel like almost my knowledge accumulating over the last 20 years are all gone.
Wow.
And as you mentioned, now we are talking about agents. We are talking about a new type of neural network, diffusions, transformers. They all need to be relearned. And that's also one thing that I always embrace, is that I don't believe in accumulations. And I also believe in this post-AI world. A 10x person is not winning by accumulating knowledge.
Yeah.
A 10x persons are the one that can learn the quickest, that can adapt the quickest, and they can leverage the tools they have at hand to make themselves better. Those are the people who's going to win. I think this is going to completely change the talent structures and knowledge structures that we have in the futures. So if I look at the software developer right now, my position here is that I don't think we are different that much in terms of our knowledge accumulations. The most important thing is to really embrace the fact that velocity is really fast right now.
Yeah.
So you just cannot stop. So the more you have this kind of mindset, the more you are willing to catch up with the latest trends, the more likely you can be successful.
I love that insight that it's no longer about accumulating knowledge. That's a pretty profound shift in what we're expecting people to do.
Totally.
What percentage of people do you think are ready for this? When you look at your team or teams that you see elsewhere, the way that they've been structured, the way that we've valued expertise and the ability to build software or marketing teams or sales teams, how many people do you think are ready for this new future?
I see 10% of them can do it well. It's 10% of the people that no matter what year of experience you're talking about, that can really step out of the curve and think differently. And in fact, the more experienced people may even be less likely to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the people I myself, when I get to the middle stage of my career, I start to feel okay, I have some things that I have been accumulating over the years. I don't want to let go. When you start to have that mindset, you will be more resistant to adopt the new things that was happening in the industries. Just give a very interesting example here. We just talked about 3 months ago, if you ask me what's agentic coding, I will point you to the directions of cursor and doing auto completion in IDE.
Yeah.
That's the agentic coding in my mind. But if you asked me last week, it will be cloud code. It will be codecs. That was a fully agentic experience that you don't even need to go to the IDE anymore.
Yeah.
This is how things change. It changed in 3 months. If we cannot really adapt our thinkings in the order of months, then you're going to lose the game. So that's why I believe there's a lot of things we can catch up here, and I have to say like only 10% of people can do it right now.
Is it still experimental, or are you rolling this out at scale at HeyGen? What does software development at HeyGen look like now?
We are fully embracing it right now. So I was talking with my head of IT yesterday, is that should we shift everyone to a full agentic experience instead of doing IDE? And I think that's the path to go. If that's the path, we should move that very quickly. So in fact, I think like, I would say more than 70% of our code is generated by agentic coding now inside HeyGen.
70%?
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah, it's huge. And another thing we are practicing right now, which is very interesting, we are experimenting, it's an AI employee. So you may see there's some new tech coming out from OpenClaw type of directions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, although it's not very secure yet, but I think there's a secure version of that we can leverage. That you can basically think about every employee could have a companion. And the companion can help you to execute the mundane workflows that you're looking for and help you to ideate. So if you pair every employee with a companion with them, and that companion can do a lot of things for you.
Yeah.
And the good stuff for the companion is that he or she, I don't know, maybe I should say it, can actually learn all the knowledge that you have been gathering throughout your daily work and use that to improve themselves. So I think that could be a good amplifier for the productivity of the employee in that case.
Yeah, I really love that idea of a companion, because that's truly a partner. It's like it's someone that sits alongside you and helps you with your work, rather than taking a bunch of work off you or automating it so that people aren't in the loop at all.
Yep, that's always our positioning for AI as a company. We always believe AI is not a replacement for humans. It's a tool. If you use it well, you can actually improve the quality of the humans.
Is there a difference between a companion or a virtual employee or an agent? Like, what do you see the difference between those different terms?
I think like they are different terms. The line is a little bit fuzzy. So because a lot of companions or assistants, they are powered by agent technology. But it really depends on how you use that. So I think if you think from a companion perspective, you are facilitating humans. So that's why I think you want to make sure there's observabilities from the agents. You want to make sure there are ways that human can approve, human can adjust, and human can understand what's happening behind the scenes. That part is very important.
Let's talk about HeyGen for a bit now, and I'm sure you've got a much better pitch for it than I do, but I would sum it up as virtual avatars that you can use to create any sort of video content that helps communicate ideas. Is that a decent pitch?
I think that's a very nice pitch.
All right. And you've distinctly chosen not to think about Hollywood filmmakers for the types of videos that you're creating. You're thinking about marketers, educators, sales teams, people who probably haven't been able to access great quality video production before.
Yep.
Why was that? Why did you decide to tackle that? And what does it mean for storytelling democratization?
Because we believe that's a huge underserved market. And from day one, we believe HeyGen is for introvert.
Okay.
Like myself. I consider myself as an introvert.
If I'm an extrovert, can I use HeyGen?
You can use HeyGen also, but introvert will be benefit even more from HeyGen in these cases. If you think about in this world, how many people are actually proactively creating content, and how many people are actually, I would say, how many people are proactively creating video contents versus how many people can write emails or write Google Doc?
Yeah.
I would say the second category is much bigger.
Yeah.
And this is the type of people I want to empower, is that I can easily write a Google Doc right now, but I really don't know how to produce video. How can I empower that group of people to become more successful? So, and this will be marketers, like what you said, salespersons, or just a daily corporate individuals like myself. And if they can all create videos, isn't that an amazing world? And there's another analogy I love to make here is that if you look at the consumer side of the evolution of media consumptions, you can see on the consumer side, we already go through evolutions from most of the social media company are text-based. Now that I can argue that most of them are video-based. Mm-hmm. So that evolution have already happened. Yeah. But if I look at business world or working context, that hasn't happened yet. I'm very easily to ask everyone, if you ask me 99% of your work done in work, is it still text-based? Yes, I think it's still text-based. Yeah. You did not go above that. I've been thinking about, okay, why is that the case? Instant video is a better way to consume. And I do believe one problem here is about creations. In the consumer world, there's a job functions called creators that can always create. They know how to create video. They're good at creating video. They make their jobs to create videos. But in a business context, there's no such persons yet. But if we can actually using the latest technology like video agents to make the video creations to become much less frictions, much easier to create, would that actually change the whole equations? Because we fundamentally believe video is a very good mechanism to digest or consume our informations. Then that's the goal we want to do, is to make the creation to become much simpler.
So what's a good use case? You're a CTO. I'm pretty sure you're not a social media influencer. So what do you use video for, and how do you incorporate it into something like running a tech team?
We are practicing a lot of new use cases internally right now, and literally like last month, I created more than 100 videos.
Wow.
Myself. Yeah. So, and the most recent example I do is that internally I'm announcing the new March roadmap for this month. Yeah. I built a video based on a spreadsheet. Originally, like I put every single items in a spreadsheet, and it's maintained. It's very few people were consumed. In fact, I just changed it to a 2-minute video with my avatar speaking for the roadmap, and the motion graphic was describing what the roadmap would look like. And then I share with my engineering teams.
So what does that process look like? So you've got an avatar, so you have inputted yourself into the HeyGen tool, and it can now act like you, appear like you. I presume it's got your voice as well.
Yep, they got my voice also.
Yep. And then you've got this spreadsheet. Do you kind of screen record the spreadsheet, or you just put it into HeyGen and say, hey, look at this spreadsheet and please describe it as if you were me?
I can definitely explain a little bit about the process here. So first, as what you described, I need to record a 30-second video and to produce my avatar. So, and the avatar will have my motions, will have my expressions, but also will have my voice. And after that, we have this new product called video agents. The video agent can take one simple prompt and then attachments to generate videos. So the solution is very simple. I even have a Chrome extension for that.
Okay.
So you just go to the spreadsheet, go to Chrome extensions, click yes, generate a video, summarize this spreadsheet.
Wow.
That's it. It takes me about 5 minutes to generate the videos, and then I send it to Slack.
Does it worry you that someone might get access to your avatar and be able to produce videos as you?
So that speaks to the perspective of trust and safety here. And it's very important for us. And we actually have multiple layers of protections for protecting this the trust of our users. So first layer is what we call avatar moderations. So, and when people was producing an avatar, we will first ask the users to record a consent video. Okay. So not only they will upload a video, but they will also record a consent to say, I explicitly approve this video for use for avatar usage. And then we send that to a human to do moderations in the backgrounds. That's one layer of protections. The second layer of protection is that even you have an avatar, that's not enough. We also moderate on the video content, because we've seen some cases that people have been using a good avatar to say some bad words. So we also have a video moderation process to make sure that no non-safe for work content was delivered during this process. So that's why we have a 2-layer of moderations to make sure both the avatar is safe and the video is safe.
How do you think about things like political speech? Like, where do you draw the line on what's good or what's bad?
Yeah, our current thinking for political content is that because we are not a social media, we are creative tools. So we should allow people to create that kind of content. The way how they want to use that kind of content, it's up to their best judgment in that case. So that's why in general, so we give more space for political content for creations right now, but we don't want them to create false informations. So first we will block the celebrity avatar. They cannot use a political celebrity to create anything.
Yeah.
That's for sure. If they're just using their own avatar to deliver a political speech, that's fine. It's their choice, it's their freedoms. So that's sort of the line that we are drawing right now.
How do you think about authenticity in this world where people aren't performing in front of a camera? Like, what does it mean to have Rong's avatar talking to a group of people based off a spreadsheet?
Yeah.
And what does that mean for human connection and the power of video? Because I think the power of video is like looking at someone, seeing them speak and connecting to them on a human level.
Yeah.
What does that mean when it's just generated pixels?
So I think the first perspective is that whether the avatar look like a human. So if you ask me what's the current status of whether the avatar can be very similar or look similar to the human, even indistinguishable to a humans, I think we're getting very close. So internally, we call this an avatar Turing test.
Okay.
If you literally present an avatar video and a real video in front of a users, can they tell the difference? Our current internal benchmark says it's 60% to 70%.
Okay.
Yeah, basically they can say with like about 65% like probability, they can tell that's a real photo versus non-real photo. We are pretty confident this is literally just within months, we can get to 50%. So, I mean, at most 12 months, I would say.
Yeah.
So, and that's why if you simply talk about the perspective of looking like a person's, I think we will get there pretty soon. But there's a deeper perspective of that, is the trust, like what you said. What's the trust behind that? So my rule of thumb is very simple, is that if I position AI video as a companion or assistant perspective, then we don't want to ruin the trust, like for humans and the AI. And the testing is very simple. You need to, if you openly, explicitly tell them this is an AI-generated video, and they don't feel offended, they don't feel like they lose the value of it, then you pass the test.
Okay.
So, and that's also part of the reason why I feel like there is a particular category of video that may not be very suitable for AI video yet. For example, influencer marketing.
Okay.
I think the really big sort of supporting assumptions for influencer marketing is not about whether it looks like a human or not. It's more about whether the audience trusts the influencers to deliver the message, whether that's genuinely coming from the influencer or not. So if you use AI to generate that, you may not have a strong AI foundations or trust foundations to deliver the message.
Yeah.
So that's one of the places that I feel like AI is not fully ready yet.
So in that situation, thinking about influencer marketing, let's say that you're a social media celebrity. That's not you using yourself to create a social post. It would be you using an entirely different avatar to create a social post.
Yeah. So if like we are talking about using an entire, for example, I know some people using a cartoon avatar of themselves or using an animated avatar of themselves to create a post. I think that's more acceptable. Yeah, it's similar to when you are looking at animated films right now. So you know it's fake. I mean, to some degree, that's AI generated.
Yeah.
So, and people, it's very receptive to that. As long as you are being very explicit to let people know this is not you, but this is your alter egos, or it's a different representation of yourself, I think that's acceptable. So then we can use that principle to judge for every different use cases, which one is better suited or not. Like what you said, if they are using their alter ego to deliver a message, it still work. They go ahead to use it. Or I think like a knowledge-based video are better fit for that. Because like if I'm using that to deliver information or knowledge and still benefiting the audience, even they know this is an AI avatar, they don't feel like offended. They still feel like they're getting value out of it. Then I think that's the better use of the technique.
So do you think any AI-generated content should be marked up that way? Like a little AI watermark or something in the metadata or a little comment that says this is AI-generated?
Yep, so I think so. The true value delivered by AI, it's about the contents. It's less about like deceiving people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think like at this stage, so and we can take analogies here, is that before, let's say autonomous driving, before Waymos become successful or mainstreams, then when you first see an autonomous driving car on the road, you would tell your kids, like, look, this is autonomous driving, it's so fancy, it almost drives like a car now.
Yeah.
But after you see Waymos on the road right now becoming more and more mainstreams, you probably don't have that conversation with your kids anymore. They will get used to it. They will accept that's a fact. Instead, you'll start to think about, okay, can I take this car to another places? Can I make the most out of it? Can I use it like in my daily life? I think AI video become that. So I think we are in a transition stage of people still think about, okay, whether the video will look like a person or not. But I think soon we will pass that stage. People will accept that that's the truth. And then they will start to think about, okay, how can I get the most value out of it and avoid the bad side of this? So that's going to become the conversation, not like the avatar will look like a human.
When you send out a video to your team internally that you've generated on HeyGen, do you say, hey, this was generated with HeyGen, or do you just send it out as if it was yourself?
So in our current context, we just send it out because all knows, like we are very familiar with this process.
Yeah.
So that's why we have the sort of the right assumptions here. So that's why I think it really depends on what context we are using those videos. Mm. For example, in a corporate context, that if we start producing more and more this type of video, I think it's up to the company to make a decision whether they want to label it or not. But my rule of thumb is that for any of the people who don't feel comfortable not to label it, they should. I think the default should be labeling it.
Yeah. I also think that societal norms will change as well. As people get used to more generated video or different types of talking avatars, they'll become normalized to it, and they might expect it, and then you have to label it less.
I would say so. Yeah. So if you look at the last 10 years, I think there's already many paradigm shifting periods. So I worked in Facebook before. Yeah. Facebook have a paradigm shift as Facebook getting more popular. So I don't know how many people still remembers. Before 2010s, there's a big issues about privacy of sharing a social network. And Facebook is getting a lot of pressures. I don't think too many people are actually talking about that particular point anymore. People, that was accepted as a social norm. Yeah. Because when a paradigm is shifting, the only way you can deal with it is to accept it and make the best use out of it, instead of saying that, no, I don't want to accept this as a fact. Yeah, I think that's actually a wave that was coming. Then you just need to know how to ride the wave instead of blocking the wave.
You noted something really interesting about social norms around the world. You said that kind of Western users of HeyGen prefer to use videos of themselves, whereas Eastern users, whatever the demographic is, prefer to use animated avatars of themselves. I'm really fascinated with that difference and what it means for different types of creativity. You can't just have the same sort of creativity for every person around the world.
That's a very interesting observations. Yeah, when we first see that from our data, we are also a little bit surprised, to be honest. But as we think deeper into that, there's a great reason behind that. In the Western world, there are more individualisms, mindset, from our message delivering process. So
like having a personal brand or something?
As a personal brand, want to focus on delivering my personal message. I want to be myself. Mm-hmm. I want to expose my identity because that's my personal message. I want to give that to you. On the Eastern world, people embrace more about the collectivisms. So we believe societies. We believe in people working together. So as a group. So, and sometimes de-emphasizing individualisms of that. So in that kind of a cultures, I'm not saying which one is good or which one is bad, but that actually reflecting our social activity in these cases. So, and as you like get into that kind of directions, then for the Eastern users, they tend to find alter egos to represent themselves, and sometimes that become an cartoon versions of the persons, animated version of a persons. You want to use your alter egos to deliver that message. That actually means something very interesting in product development also. So for example, when you think about more around the direction of identities, you want to make sure the product is not going to lose the identity, but can make the identity look better.
Yeah.
So it's augmenting the identity in this case. For the other directions, like alter ego directions, you want to create a virtual identities that could look similar to the original identity, but they don't look exactly the same. So that's why it actually gives a very interesting sort of a differentiation for the product that we can provide. But it's definitely a very interesting observations.
It really does open new doors for creativity in unexpected places.
Totally.
And ultimately, you want to continue delivering messages in a way that lands with people.
Yep.
And often just sharing the same format all the time becomes really tiresome, and you'd lose that ability to have the message get through. Wow. So if you're able to apply like great creativity like HeyGen brings, can be super useful. One of the use cases that HeyGen unlocks is translation. So you can take a video that you've created, or get your avatar to speak in different languages, which really, I think, unlocks communication to audiences that you mightn't been able to talk to before. I'm interested in knowing, have you seen some interesting use cases from your users who have employed this functionality, and how does it change what we're communicating and the possibilities for going to a global audience?
So yeah, I think like it actually have some pretty fundamental changes to the use cases here. So, and one of the barrier you can see it will break is that I would call it English as a dominant languages barrier.
Okay.
So, and then like currently English is a dominant language because like English is like by far the probably most important languages that everyone, it's the common denominator for everyone to take to be able to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
So, but once translations become more popular, like video translations, it start to make like more minor languages to be able, or people who speak minor languages to be able to communicate without, I won't call it without problem, but with less problems to communicate with the outside world. So I think that's a huge unlock. I mean, the fact is that we are seeing the first like Spanish singers showing up in halftime shows, this year's Super Bowl. It's actually a great example. We actually can see a translated version of him that actually is singing in English, like for his song, instead of like singing in Spanish in that case.
Do you have a favorite HeyGen usage from one of your customers that kind of shows off this ability to speak to a global audience?
This is not exactly translation, but I can see how it's going to work. So in fact, one of my users who was a heavy HeyGen users, and then go through a medical conditions like last year. So he lost his voice, but his job required him to speak. So that's why he's continued using HeyGen to produce like message and videos on his social media channels. So I think that's one of those examples that HeyGen can really enable persons, can make more values out of it, even they are subject to this kind of illness conditions.
Yeah.
So I can totally see how translation can help on that situation. So also is that it really helped the business owners like him to be able to reach out a lot of a global audience that they will not be able to reach out before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think definitely seeing a lot of great use cases coming out of that.
Let's look into the future. So if I can create video content from a single prompt and I can get it to make a 2-minute video or even a 45-minute course that I teach people, if 8 billion people are all doing this simultaneously, how much content are we creating, and how do I have the time to consume all that content?
Last November, HeyGen go through internal competitions.
Yeah.
So, and then we ask everyone to participate in this like course material creations competitions.
Okay.
Yeah, present ourselves. We want to make everyone to become a knowledge creators, basically. And 50% of the company participate. And then and ends up the winners creating a very nice course around stock trading.
Okay.
And then getting, I forgot, it's thousands of followers in YouTube and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's huge. But throughout the process, we start to enjoy the fact that, oh, now everyone can actually create course without too much difficulty. This is great. And the more I think, that's the time I start to think about, okay, do we actually have more and more this type of content in the future? Can I really afford the overload of it? But in fact, the more I think about it, the more I feel like it's not about the volume of the contents. It's about the volume of good contents.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I was producing a course for myself on video modeling.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell people about, okay, what's the latest trend for video modeling and things like that. But when I go to YouTube, I try to find one single tutorial of video modeling. I'm trying to find any of the podcasts around talking about the video modeling's technology in the last 2 months. I cannot find anything.
Yeah.
So it's not about the content is overloading. It's about we don't have good content on the social medias or the other distribution channel yet. And I think part of the reason is that the production cycle of traditional video is so long. It could take months to produce. In this fast-pacing world, months is too long. I mean, I think 6 months already means 2 different generations of video models. You just cannot accept this kind of velocity.
Yeah.
So I think the new way of producing video is just going to speed up the creation of good video contents much faster in that case. So that's why I don't think the problem is too many contents. Actually, I think it's too few good contents right now, and we'll be able to help to fix that problem.
All right. Very last deep question for you. Let's look into the future.
Yeah.
3 years ahead. Well, is 3 years too futuristic in this fast-paced world? But let's say 3 years ahead. We've talked about agents. We've talked about content creation. We've talked about just being able to do amazing things with a prompt. What does the future of creativity and collaboration with AI look like?
It's indeed a very deep question. And to be honest, I don't know. But we're also exploring the boundaries there. So I think AI agents could likely become an intermediate layers between human and humans or human and agents. An agent can actually talk to agents also. So I still don't know what that boundary will look like. But it's very likely that human may offload a lot of daily work or mundane work to the agents. But agents are also be able to evolve themselves by learning. So that's why it really depends on how each person was using agent. I think the boundary will be a little bit different. If you use it well, I think the good side of it is that agent can, for example, helping to people to deliver a message much smoother.
Mm-hmm.
So it's less likely to get into confrontational conversations. It will be really good for introvert again. So especially you don't want to express your emotion side of it, you can let agents to handle that. I think that's a possible good side of it. But if you don't use it well, this could potentially reduce the connections for humans.
Yeah.
So, and this could make some people to become not willing to get their real ego coming out of themselves. Instead, they're just using their alter egos to have the external communications. We're already seeing something like that happens in the social media era. So with agents will make this problem even more serious. I can't really tell right now. So, but it could happen.
Well, Maltbook just got acquired by Facebook, so I think they're getting prepared for the agent-to-agent social network.
I think this is going to happen. So that's why as a technologist and also for this entire society, we have to embrace that. I don't think there's any way we don't want to embrace that. This will happen. So the question for us is that how do we make the best use out of it? So how do we make the use of the good side of agents, and how do we prevent the bad side from happening? So yeah, that's actually where my mind's at right now.
All right, your all-star creative team. We get you to choose 4 people from any era. They can be dead, they can be alive, they can be from the future, they can be 10,000 years in the past. Who would you have on your all-star creative team?
Okay, here's what I'm going to do.
All right.
I'm going to do Albert Einstein.
Great.
He is the deep thinkers in my teams, coming up with ideas.
Also has amazing hair.
Amazing hair, that's perfect. Much better than mine. And then we have Leonardo da Vinci. He's the cross-disciplines genius that can really look at multiple disciplines and come up with the right implementations.
A real polymath.
Really polymath, that's correct. And then we'll have Steve Jobs. He can really converting the ideas into a product that people really want to use.
We get a lot of Steve Jobs, but I figure he would be extremely difficult to work with.
Oh, so only the difficult people can actually make things happen. So we'll go with that.
Okay.
And also, I'm not going to work with him. It's my creative teams. They're going to work with each other.
You're guiding them. You're like, Steve, you need to do this.
Exactly. And last one, I would say Walt Disney. So he's the one that can really turn ideas into some things that are emotionally connect to people. So I think he's really strong at that. So yeah, and I also feel like a creative team require that emotional connection.
Yeah, emotional connection is so important.
Exactly, yeah.
A lot of very deep thinkers on your team.
Yeah, well, that's why, because they are one of the all those great persons.
Wow, sounds like a great team.
Yeah, thank you.
I think Prasad is probably ready to show us what he has done with your sketch from the top of the show, and I'm fascinated to see with what he has created. Prasad, are you there? How did you go putting something creative together?
Pretty well. Did something a bit different from what I've seen before on this podcast, so I'll present it now.
Someone sitting in front of the TV. I'm getting poltergeist vibes.
Yeah. Kind of, sort of. So I made this song out of all the notes that I took during the drawing of the picture.
Oh, wow.
So you could see the picture in the background right over there. So I'll play a small snippet of it. I won't play the whole song. It's 5 minutes long. So we'll play maybe 25 seconds of it. So here we go.
Right.
9 years old, room bathed in blue light. First computer whispers through the night. Floppy disk slides in the silver.
Oh, you even got floppy disks in there.
That's a small snippet of it. I'm not going to play the whole thing, even though I want to. But
I'm loving the synthwave vibes on it. It's amazing.
Yeah. I noticed that you were into Daft Punk, so I thought I'd throw that in there.
Bit of auto-tune and vocoder. And the title of this song is called Midnight Code Dream, which I think is perfect for your 2 a.m. coding sessions.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prasad. This is great.
Absolutely.
That is super cool, Prasad, and we definitely haven't seen it on the podcast before, so congratulations for coming up with something different. All right, we love to close out the podcast with some rapid fire questions. And this time around, we actually thought it'd be great to get AI to ask you the questions. Mm-hmm. So we got AI to look at who you are, Rong, look at all the amazing work that you've done, the leapfrogs that you've made at HeyGen, and get AI to come up with some really interesting rapid questions for you. Are you game to try them out?
Let's do it.
All right, quick is good. Name a tiny daily habit that makes you better at your job.
Looking at metrics every single day.
All right. What's a moment in your career where you were completely wrong?
Sometimes I trust conventional wisdom. So I used to think what I learned from school is correct, but in many cases it's not correct.
That's a good one. Does AI help you contradict that?
AI contradict quite a bit, but human help me to contradict that also.
What's something you're genuinely bad at?
I'm really bad at creating video, I would say.
Except when you've got HeyGen.
When I get HeyGen, I make much better.
When you need perspective, where do you turn?
I turn to my wife.
Perfect answer.
I would love to get her opinions.
What's a signal you look for before betting on something new?
I'm trying to project that in my mind. I'm trying to peel that a little bit to see what are the consequences and the probability of each consequences. So that's how I do future projections.
And finally, what's one question we should have asked you?
What's the next for AI for creator?
All right. Well, I'll make sure to ask that next time.
Let's do it.
Thank you, Rong. It has been amazing diving deep on AI, building teams, companions, and of course, video creation.
Thank you, Cameron. It's great to be here.
And thank you, listeners, for tuning into Prompted, a podcast about AI, people, and the creative spark.